Welcome back to the second hour of LoveBabz LoveTalk. I'm Babz Rawls-Ivy. I'm delighted this morning. I have Emily. Emily, how do I pronounce your last name? Is it
Uh,
Grewal?
it's Grewal, like a gray wall.
Oh, I got it right. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm happy to have you. I met Emily at Possible Futures over there, 318 Edgewood, on the corner of Edgewood and Hotchkiss. She was in there talking to Lauren about something, and I overheard her talking about job reels. Job reels.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, you must come on and talk about this. This is like some new high tech kind of way to get jobs." So she was like, "Yeah." So I said, "Well, I can't talk to you now, but here's my number. Call me, send me a text, and then we'll get it. We'll get your schedule." So here she is. So how are you?
Yay. I'm good. Yeah. It's a lovely Friday. So, just out there helping people get jobs.
So tell me about this. Now I read a little bit. I read the bio that your sister runs an ice cream shop and she was having
Yeah.
trouble trying to get good help. And that's when you
Yeah.
came up with this idea of, I guess it's sort of like video dating.
Well, yeah, yeah, video hiring, but yes. So, my background is I've been in technology for many years. I worked at companies like Facebook early on, Netflix. And my sister, she opened an ice cream store here in New Haven. Ellen is on Orange. You should check it out if you haven't. They have delicious ice cream.
Does she do vegan ice cream? I want to know that
You
first.
know she does. She
Oh,
has
that
a chocolate oat milk. Yes.
I am running
So
over
there you
there.
go. Yes,
Thank you.
run. Yes. Um, and when she opened the ice cream store, she just was talking to me about how hiring was so difficult for her. She would post a job on, platforms like Indeed and get inundated with resumes and really not know who would actually be a good fit for the ice cream store because so much of, being an ice cream server is not about your experience. It's about who you are, right?
Mhm.
Can you interface with customers well? How do you interact with children, right? Are you friendly? Um, how do you move, right? Are you coordinated to pour an ice cream, right? All of these things that just aren't conveyed on a piece of paper. And in talking with her, we talked with other people in the industry and we found basically the same thing
Mhm.
where all of these resumes really didn't help them make decisions. And so we created Jobreel because we wanted to help people in the industry hire better. And what happens on Jobreel is when people go to apply, they apply with a 30-second video reel in addition to their sort of basic resume. And in that video reel, it's like the first question in an interview, right? So they can ask, tell us about, why you'd be a great hire and why you want to work here, right? For example. Or, coffee asks them, what's your favorite dinosaur? So they can really sort of, showcase who they are. And it makes hiring more about hiring a person, not just a piece of paper, is what we say. And what we found is that to our delight, people have gotten hired who didn't actually get hired when they were applying with the resumes, which is
Mhm.
amazing because people have very diverse sets of background and maybe their resume isn't the perfect resume, but they'd actually be a great hire. And we've actually done experiments where we've then seen people get hired who didn't get hired when they applied on Indeed, which, our mission is to help more people get hired. And so, to see that actually coming to fruition has been wonderful.
I love this. So say I'm an employer, like I'm like your sister, and I want to sign up for this service. What do I do?
Oh, it's super easy. You can download the app, Jobreel, or you can go to our website and create an account. And basically, as a business, you just enter your basic information. You enter what jobs you're hiring for. And then we do make it visual on the business side as well. So businesses can post a video with their job posting to introduce themselves. So it's like both sides meeting, or they can post a photo too if they don't have a video necessarily on hand, because we know businesses, general managers, business owners, they're doing a million things. So, we allow them to just do a photo as well of their interior space. And the idea is to give job seekers a way of, seeing what they're going to be getting into when they're working too.
And so is there a fee? Like who does somebody pay a fee? Like if I'm looking for a job, do I have to sign up and leave my credit card? Like what do I do?
Oh, no way. We would never charge a job seeker. They're trying to get a job. No, of course not. So similar to how businesses currently pay for, Craigslist or culinary agents or any of these other job boards, there's a fee associated with posting a job. But we offer right now a month free for folks so they can give it a check out. But we would never charge job seekers.
Hmm. So Emily, who was this ideal for? Because in your bio, in the stuff that you sent me over, it said service industry. And the service
Yeah.
industry could be anything. It could be bartending, it could be restaurants, it could be
Yeah.
group homes, it could be all kinds of things.
Yes. I think, right now, obviously, service industry, yeah, we're for all of those things. Any sort of industry where a lot of the softer skills actually matter more, right? That's kind of right now where we think Jobreel is ideal. But honestly, that's just our starting off point because even for me, when I'm hiring an engineer, for example, for, Jobreel, I'm not just hiring someone who can code, right? I'm hiring someone who's going to show up to meetings, talk with me, interface with other engineers, right? We're hiring a person. We're not just hiring someone who can do X, Y, Z, right? And so even in spaces where traditionally people have said, oh, it's much more about your resume, it's impersonal. We believe hiring is personal. It's about hiring someone as a human being, and they're so much more than just what they've done. And so while we're starting with the service industry where, these softer skills are the primary of the job, right? So it's where Jobreel is the most needed. Fundamentally, we believe that the future of all hiring is going to be on Jobreel because you're hiring a person. You're not just hiring a piece of paper and a set of experiences. And so on Jobreel, they can convey who they are.
Well, I love that. I love that. So Emily, you worked at Facebook, you worked at all these places.
Yeah.
When did this idea brewing in you? And then when you saw your sister had a problem, you're like, I have this idea. Or did you see the problem with your sister and you said, I think I can solve this? Like, what came first?
Yeah. You know, Honestly, it was the problem first. This idea, it wasn't like I was just sitting around being like, oh, that would be cool, right? It was just you see this and you're like, oh, what if we did this instead, right? And it just so happened that it's an interesting thing because my experience, I worked at Netflix where obviously we were video, right? And it was all about videos. And then prior to that, I'd actually worked at this other startup called Handshake, which is a hiring platform. Well, it's actually career services software. So it's in the hiring space. And so Jobreel, it's funny how sort of life builds on itself, right? And so Jobreel kind of came to me, but it was sort of from all of these past things that I had done because I had worked on video, I'd worked on hiring, and then I saw my sister, and then it was like, oh, here we go. What if we did this? Um, so yeah, it came from the problem, but also all of my past experiences.
Oh, I love this. So, has it launched? Is it up and running now?
Oh, yes, it is. People are getting hired every day.
I love
Yeah.
it. So, what are people
Yeah.
saying? Is this the wave of the future, Emily? Like our companies are going to you want companies to adopt this
Yeah.
platform, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like any new technology, right? There's people who are early adopters who are like, yes, this is the future, right? And there are people who are like, oh, I'll sign up when everyone else signs up, right? So it's all like it's any new technology. And right now we're in that early adopter phase. So we're excited about a lot of the employers we have on the platform. They're, innovative, they're excited for this change. Uh, Craig from Olmo Bagels. I don't know if you know Olmo Bagels, a
Yes,
bagel
I
shop.
do. Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
do.
He told the New Haven Register. We had an article in the New Haven Register, and he told them, "Oh, this is genius." And we love that. We love that. So yeah, I think that my sense is once employers see Jobreel and get Jobreel applicants, it's really hard to go back to a resume, right?
Mm.
Because you just can see the person, you see who they are, right? And that's so much more valuable than trying to read a piece of paper that could have been crafted by ChatGPT for all we know. Right? So it's just once you see this, it's really hard to go back. And I think
Mhm.
the only somewhat struggle for I think some employers is that they will get fewer applicants on Jobreel. Because Indeed right now, these other platforms have optimized for just making that one click apply super easy, right? So they get inundated with resumes, which, for my sister is a problem, but they get a lot of people, right? And so there's this illusion on there that, okay, I can get someone, right? But what happens is that all these people are applying to everything. They don't know what your job is about. They're not invested in your job. And so the common problem we see for these employers is that they get no shows. Like nobody shows up to the interviews, right? Employers
Wow.
I talk to are like 50% of people show up to an interview, right?
Really?
Yeah. Because
Man.
people are just clicking apply, 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 right? Um, versus on Jobreel, because people have to create a video for this job, they're more invested. They're more interested, right? They can make a better decision about where they want to work. And we found no-show rates are significantly lower on Jobreel. But again, you're going to get fewer people because it's not going to be, the world is going to be the people who actually want to work at your place. So I remember, one of our early testers in this space was a coffee shop in New Haven, and they got 2 applicants. And I was like, oh no, we failed them. You know what? They hired both of those people. And they were like, this is great. We got exactly who we needed, right? These were the people we wanted, and we hired both of them. So I think there is sort of a mindset switch that's going to have to happen where more isn't always better, right?
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm liking the idea that employers can create a video
Yeah.
to talk about what they're looking for and what their
Yes.
company does. Like
Yes.
that to me is quite appealing because you don't really know. I mean, when you look at a job, when
Oh,
you look at
yeah.
a job description, you're like, okay, and you do your little research or whatever, but it's just something else about seeing someone talk about, where they're inviting someone to apply.
Yes. It's super powerful. And what we've seen is we ran a bunch of studies early on because of course we want to make sure whatever we're building is going to be good for the world. And we took a bunch of people and we gave them sort of just regular generic job postings. We're like, hey, where do you want to work? Right. And then we gave them the video reels and we said, where do you want to work? Right. And where they wanted to work changed based on the
Really?
videos. Yes, because they were able to really see an environment, and see where they were going to work, see the person they'd work for, and they could really suss out whether or not it was a great fit for them. I think a lot of times, especially in the service industry, which, the average age is, from less than 35, right? And so, people sometimes will be like, oh, a server job is a server job is a server job. And that's not true, right? They're really different. And I think that in the service industry, we see a lot of turnover. In part, I think, sometimes people are transient, thinking about different things, right? But also, I think part of it is that people start a job and they don't really know what it's going to be about, right? They're like, okay, I want to be a server, waiter, and then I'm just going to apply. And then I got an interview at this place. Okay, I'm going to work there, right? But then they get in there, and then a couple weeks in, they're like, oh, this isn't for me, right? And so, what our hope is that with these videos, we can actually hopefully see a decrease in turnover because it means that people will have a better idea of what they're getting into.
Mhm. So, so do you stay in touch with so when the employers but I guess they pay a fee or they buy into the
Yes.
service or they subscribe to the service for a period of time. What do you offer them? Like how do they know that this is good for them? Like what do you give them analytics? Do you give them what are the other niceties that you do for them?
Yeah. Well, right now, I think the biggest thing is we help them hire. So I think that the truth is for these employers, the number one thing is do they get someone? Did they make a hire? Was it a good hire? Right. And for a lot of the small businesses, it's pretty easy for them to tell. Like they don't necessarily need analytics to know whether they, hired or not. Right. So where we're starting out right now, those people, it's just like the basic fundamentals. Are they able to hire? Does it take them less time? Do they get better people? Right. And that's something that no data can really tell them. It's mainly what they sort of experience. We followed up with a lot of our initial people, though, and generally the answer has been yes to all of those questions. So we've been pretty happy about that.
I like that. So this is really good for I mean I think it's good for a lot of industry. But I think for those coffee shops, for those boutiques, for those bookstores and places like that where personality matters a great deal, this seems like a real win.
Yeah. But even in something like healthcare, right? If you're going to hire, for example, a nurse, right? It's not just about whether or not they can do the job. Of course, that's the fundamental, right? But then there's also a layer of, how do they interact with their patients, right? What's their bedside manner, right? Those things matter too. Can they interact with their colleagues? Because a lot of this is, this is about a team, right? So I think it's in a lot of different fields too.
Now, I do think this technology will appeal to y'all younger folks, but those of us who are well over 50 and might be hitting that job market, how do you assuage our fears about this technology?
Yeah, it's been interesting. So we had one woman recently. So I reach out on occasion to different folks who have gotten hired to ask if we can use their reel on our Instagram as like an example reel for folks so they can see, oh, this person got a job. Let me see what they did in their reel. And I try and reach out to different people, right? So that, people get a sense of, oh, okay, there's someone like me on this platform, right? Like then I can model it after this. And I recently reached out to this one woman who is in that same demographic, right? And she was saying, this was the first job I was looking for. I'd been at the same place, same family run place for 30 years, right? And I felt like this video actually helped me showcase my personality and get this job. So I think, video is becoming much more pervasive than it was, even 5 years ago, where yes, younger generations are more familiar with it. But I think that some of the older demographics do still see how a video can really help them showcase their personality in a way that, can help them really get a job and get an interview, right? And so we provide, these examples for people. We provide some guidance in terms of like what to say. We try and make it as easy as possible for people. There's a nice way to shoot the reel within the app itself. So you don't have to think about, oh, how do I get this file from one place to another, right?
Oh, I like that too.
Yeah. So like we do all of that to try and make it super easy for people, guide them through, walk them through just how to create this video. And, we try and provide examples so people can see, hey, this can help everyone, right? It's not meant just for young people. It can help any demographic.
Oh, I like this. So Emily, tell me a little bit about your background, because you look really, really young, and I hope that doesn't offend you by saying
Oh,
that.
no, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, so I've been in technology now, oh man, almost 20 years. Yeah, I've
Really?
been yeah, yeah.
Where'd you go?
Um,
Where are you from?
I'm from New Haven.
Are you?
Yeah, that's why we're here.
I
Yeah, I
love
grew up in
that.
New
I thought
Haven.
maybe you were a transplant. You know what I mean? Like, how people come to
No,
school here and then they stay here
no,
because
my
they love
parents have
it.
been here 40 years. Yeah,
Where'd you go to
yeah.
school?
Well, I went to West Hills Elementary School
Oh,
and yep. And then I jumped around a little bit, but I finished high school at Hopkins here.
okay. Yes, right
Yeah.
up the hill,
Yep. Yep.
In New Haven.
Yeah. And then I went out to the West Coast for school.
Okay.
So I did leave New Haven for a bit. But my sister, she basically stayed here. So my roots are in New Haven.
That's a good. I like that. So coming back to New Haven as a young person, because oftentimes you hear young people leave New Haven because they don't
Yes.
feel like there's opportunities here for them, right? They don't
Yes.
feel like there's enough of excitement around having a life as a younger person. And
Mm,
so
mm.
what
I'm
made
not
you
maybe
come
that
back?
young. Babs, I think you think I'm younger than I am.
But the fact that you're coming back though says something
Yeah.
about I mean, are you here living here? Like you're back here living or
Yeah, I mean, well, I would say I split my time because basically I split my time between New Haven and San Francisco because the tech industry is just so
Yes.
dominant in San Francisco that it's
Yeah.
hard not to have a toehold in there if you want to create these sort of innovative, right? But that being said, my father, he has a tech company here in New Haven. So, I think New Haven is definitely on the up and up. They're investing in innovation, and it is a place that people can create these kind of companies. It's
That's
just so
interesting
happened
to
that
hear.
it just so happened that, I started out in San Francisco, so I still have a toehold there.
Yes. No, but I like that because I don't we don't hear this kind of conversation enough about
Yeah,
whatever else is, I mean, I'm very rooted in the arts community right now, and arts as an economic driver is gaining momentum. So I'm not very familiar with the developing tech world. Um,
yeah,
and so it's nice, and to see a woman leading it and talking about it is quite impressive to me, because we tend to think tech men, young men, older men, all kinds
yeah,
of men doing it. So I rarely get to talk to women who are leading, the on innovation around tech. So this is quite exciting. So I'm
yeah,
always interested in what brings people to New Haven, and your roots are
yeah,
here.
yeah. That's it. My family, I grew up here. It's hard
Yeah.
not to. My sister has an ice cream store here, right? You're
I
like,
would never leave then, because I would be like ice cream forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
oh,
So
it is definitely something, that's for sure.
so what is the ultimate dream, Emily, for Jobreel? I mean, do you want this to be like an Indeed of this kind of employment application? Like, do you want it to be big, 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 and then, you know?
Yeah, I mean, my goal is to help as many people get jobs as possible,
Mhm.
right? That's my fundamental goal. And I think in order to achieve that, right, I think Jobreel needs to be big because I think videos really help people get jobs who weren't getting jobs before. And so, yeah, I think it's a much better way to find jobs, get jobs than these other platforms like Indeed. And so, we want it to be huge, right? We want it to be as big as it can possibly be to help people in this world.
Now, I mean, there's this other piece that I'm thinking about, because a resume can give you a little anonymity about demographics, you know,
Yes.
and a video takes that away. How
A
do
video
you?
makes you a human.
It makes you human, but it might, it there's this thing in America or in the world called racism and
Yes.
sexism, and
Oh, we think
so
a lot about this.
how do you check for that? Like, how do you
Yeah.
help people not
Yes.
use it as a way to keep people out of
Yeah.
opportunity? You see what I'm saying?
Definitely. No, 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 of course. I mean, again, our goal is to help everyone get a job, right? We want to help as many people as possible. We want more people getting jobs. So, that is fundamentally against what we want to achieve. Okay. So there are a couple things that we thought about when we were creating Jobreel. So first off, I think it's important to remember that a video is very different than a photo, right? A video, people come to life, right? In a
Mhm.
way similar to when they show up to an interview. And, my fundamental belief is that a lot of bias, discrimination happens when you don't know someone, right? It's like when they become real, when they become human, it's much harder, I think, to make assumptions about someone, right? And so fundamentally our hope is that video is actually giving more people a chance at that interview, right? And I think it is very different than a photo. And it's also very different than a resume, where there is well documented discrimination that happens based on names and resumes. Like there have
Yes.
been tons of studies on this, right? And so our hope is that by making people more human, it will lead to less. And there are
Mhm.
also things that we can do within the product to actually push people to take others into consideration. So, for example, the first time an employer goes to view video reels, we can have a little pop up reminding them what it means to be an equal opportunity employer, right? Which
Like
we
that.
know will lead to less discrimination. And fundamentally, my belief is that technology is somewhat inevitable. Once you realize, like, you see something, you're like, this is going to happen, right? You can say AI. AI is inevitable, right? It's going to happen. I think Facebook was inevitable. Whether it was built by Mark Zuckerberg or someone else, it was going to happen. And what I believe is that this technology, video, is inevitable. And so if we can actually go into it thinking about, how can we make things better? How can we decrease discrimination? How can we decrease bias? We can create a product that does the best we can to help people.
That's a very good answer. I feel like, yes, you've you've calmed my nerves about this because I can feel the fear that people would have about,
Yes.
this is just going to be another thing I'm gonna have to fight against.
Yeah.
Men, women, black,
Yeah.
white, green, yellow. This is another thing I'm gonna have to fight against, for age discrimination, race discrimination, cultural discrimination, all the things. And so that was a good answer. And I love that you have built-in things to sort of remind people at the
Yes.
onset,
Yes.
listen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we can't control what happens in an interview, but at least on Jobreel, we can do our best.
And so do people do how many job reels can people do? Is there a number that people can get to or do? Can I keep applying to different things?
Yeah.
Do I use the same reel or does each application require a different reel? Do I have a little saving place where I could save my reel? Like, tell
Yes, you
me.
do. You do. So yes, 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 and yes. So when you're applying to a job, you can create a video from scratch. For example, like if that employer has a specific set of questions they want you to answer, right? You can
Mm.
create a video from scratch. Or you can, create one video that's, hey, this is the reel that I use when I apply to bartender jobs, right? And so then you can have one that you just then apply to all the different jobs with. And there's also one reel you can opt to have as like a public reel. And so employers, if they're, for example, looking for bartenders or looking for something, they can go and see all the
Oh.
people who are looking for those jobs, right? And so that's also one way where, I think in the service industry, proactively sort of reaching out to folks hasn't existed, right? Because there hasn't been this place like, people aren't on LinkedIn, right? And so this is sort of the alternative where, you could actually have people reach out and be like, I would like to have, would you like to come in for an interview? It seems like you have the, right background, good fit. Yeah.
And people still get to upload their resume. Like you're not
Yes.
saying you
No.
don't do away with your resume. You're
No,
saying,
they still do
oh,
that.
in
Yeah.
addition to this brings you alive, and then they can
Exactly.
look over your resume
Yeah.
after you've dazzled them with your personality.
Exactly. Yeah. It's trying to show as much of a complete person as possible.
I think this is I believe this is a wonderful idea. I could see how companies would like this. There would have to be somebody's job to sort of look at this stuff, right? But
Yeah.
still.
But it's a lot more fun to look through video reels than it is to look through a stack of resumes.
Yeah, no, I think you might be right about that. And then they can make notes and say,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm gonna call this person in because I think they have the right attitude and the right
Yeah.
personality for what we got going on over here." So
Exactly.
that seems like a good idea. So would you suggest this for kids coming out of college?
Oh, definitely. I mean, especially for people coming out of college when you don't have an extensive resume, this is a great way to set yourself apart, right?
Okay.
Because, in talking with hiring managers, because they're sort of just inundated with resumes, right? They're basically, unless someone has the exact experience that they're looking for, they quickly weed them out, right? Or,
Yeah.
I talked to one hiring manager and he was like, oh, unless someone has stayed at a place at a company for at least 2 years, I don't consider their resume. And I'm
Oh,
like, that's a really high bar, right?
yeah.
And so, if you are just coming out of school, you don't have an extensive resume, this is a great way for you to show that employer what you can do.
Hmm.
And even we suggest, obviously I think right now people are talking everything, but you could even think, if you're applying to a barista job and you've never been a barista before, well, why don't you could pour a latte on the reel to show that you can do it, right? Show that you can do the job.
I love this is This has all the possibilities of some very interesting things that people can really in 30 seconds showcase their talent. That's
Yeah,
what it sounds like to me. Like you can
exactly.
really showcase because you don't get this opportunity until you get to an interview process,
Yes. Yes.
right? And even
Yes.
then when you get to the interview process, it's still different.
Yes. And also, you can retake a video reel, but you can't redo an interview, right? So it's like,
That's a good point right there. Like
yeah,
you can redo a reel to make it as good as you want it to be,
yeah.
but you cannot walk back and you can't walk out the door of an interview and then walk back in and say,
You can't do
"Let's do
that. You
this
can't do
again."
that. Yeah. So it's like,
No,
it's like make sure they're on your side when you go in for the interview, right? And give you the benefit of the doubt because they saw you made a great reel.
I love this. I think this is a good idea, and I'm so glad you had time to talk to me about this.
I know, Beth.
So tell people how to find you, how to find
Yeah.
Jobreel.
So you can go to the App Store and type in Jobreel and download the app, or
Oh,
you can go to just www.jobreel.io and there's a sign in, sign up button in the top right corner.
and so this is going all over the place. You're getting employers from all over the place. So there's a real sense of diversity
Yes.
and different kinds of service industry jobs where people can
Yep.
go through and pick and be like, you know what? I'm interested in that. I'm interested in that.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. And we started in New Haven and we're expanding out from here.
Now, do you have an office here, Emily? Are you working from somewhere or are you
Oh, we're a startup. I don't, I,
are
yeah,
you
I'm
working
working
from
from
your
home
parents'
right now.
house or home? Listen, I
I'm working
understand.
inside the house. I'm not in the garage, but
Well, with technology today, you don't need a space. You just need to have good Wi-Fi and a
yes,
good
exactly.
and a good
Exactly.
camera. You don't really
Yeah,
need to
there you
be.
go.
You can work from the ice cream shop, right? If you have,
Oh, I actually have done that.
I would do that. That would
We
be
take
quite
meetings from the
pleasing.
ice cream store. We do. We
Yes,
definitely do.
that would be quite pleasing. I'd be like, yes,
Yes. But it's
I'm at the
actually
ice cream
great because
shop.
then they get ice cream at the end of it, you know? People
Yes,
love coming to meetings at the ice cream store.
I listen. I don't blame them. Their waistline might blame them, but
Yes.
the happiness will we are moving into this era of joy, and what
Yes.
more joyous than an ice cream parlor?
I know. It's definitely a joyous place. So it's a good place to have meetings.
I thank you. I thank you. So it was lovely to meet you, Emily. I know
I
I will
know.
see you
Great to meet
again.
you, Beth.
Hopefully I'll
Yes.
run into you in possible future,
Yes.
and we'll have more conversations. But keep me posted if you want to come back on again and talk a little
Oh,
bit
thanks.
more as the company grows and as you do more things. Feel free to make
Yeah.
this your home. Come hang out again.
Appreciate you, Babs. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you, and I know people are listening and they are very interested in this. So
I
thank
hope
you
so.
for your
Yeah. Go to
time.
jobreel.io. I know it's kind of weird. It's not .com. It's .io. Um,
I like
but
it.
yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
hard. That's not hard to remember. So
Yes.
that's easy to
Yes.
remember. So thank you for your
Wonderful.
time this morning and have a good weekend.
You too, Babs.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Harry Droz. I will be back on Monday. Y'all have a very good weekend. Be safe and enjoy yourselves. And maybe I'll see some of y'all at the Arts and Ideas Gala tonight. Y'all have a good weekend.